both sides of the conversation, family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today is Tuesday, so you know what that means. We're going to have another Hidden Gem segment tonight, and I am excited because we have some phenomenal hidden gems tonight. And I'm sorry about the Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on. After the storm came through, my Wi-Fi has been having so many problems, so y'all be patient, all right? Be patient out there. I don't know what's going on. I got to get this Wi-Fi looked into, but tonight is a great night. Anytime we could come back in space. We had a phenomenal youth conversation this past Sunday. And of course, our co-host is here, Pretty Tony. Welcome back, Pretty Tony. Holla at the people.
What's up, John Henry? Hi, community. What's up, Bay Area? Everyone else that's tuned in. If this is your first time tuning in to us, you in for a treat. This is Hidden Gems, so we got some great hidden gems here backstage, and it's ladies in the building, and it kind of feeling like a ladies' night, Hidden Gems, you know. So I'm already feeling the energy, and I'm excited to be in community and just do what we do here on both sides of the conversation.
Hey, Tony, I'm not gonna let you off the hook that easy. What happened to your Cowboys?
Tony, oh my God! You know what? I was hoping you wasn't gonna bring that up, but they did good. I'm gonna still represent Dallas Cowboys all day long, blue and silver. Okay.
I have to give you some flack. I know you've been out celebrating your birthday, and just want to say again, happy birthday. I'm glad you was able to get away and enjoy yourself, even though your Cowboys didn't win. We still love you though, okay?
You know what? That's okay. Go Cowboys all day long. I was in the airport fussing with people with 49er fans and everything. I went to Jamaica, John. I was in Jamaica. I had a good time.
How was it? I know the chicken was good. Was the chicken good, Tony? Tell me the chicken was good.
I ate so much food. I got sick. I ate so much food. I was in an all-inclusive, so I was being fat, and I was loving it. Loving the sun, loving the culture. But it's no place like home. I love traveling, and I love being over there, but I am thankful to be home.
Man, well, we're happy that you're back, and I'm glad you was able to get away. We know you do a lot for community. We know you do a lot in all of the adventures that you were part of. So just want to say thank you, and we're glad to see you back. With that being said, community, we're going to jump in to some of our community announcements and things that's going on. I know you all been hearing all the tragedy that's been going on. We've had a couple of mass shootings. We had a couple shootings in Oakland. We've had a couple shootings in San Francisco. Again, community, we are not out of the woodworks, okay? We have some problems that we're going to have to talk about. When we talk about anger management, when we talk about conflict management, we talk about how do we deal stuff and how do we show up in community. There's some problems out there that we got to continue to address, and we will have those conversations. But again, tragedy across these countries. So many things have been taking place with shootings in our community. Just got to continue to uplift community and keep community folks in our prayers. Also, okay, there's been an uptick of officer involved, over excessive force, officer shootings that's taking place in our communities across this country. We don't want to highlight that because I know a lot of folks think after George Floyd, things are going to change. We are still finding more and more stories of rogue officers just doing some horrendous stuff in our community, very despicable stuff that I'm seeing coming across the internet. So again, community, we are not out of the woodworks. We have a lot of work that we have to do, community, with our police in our community. There's some conversations that's going to be difficult that we're going to have. So I'm encouraging our local Bay Area officers to come on because we're going to have some conversations. I'm reaching out to some folks because we got to talk about it. And we got to address some of the biases and some of the things that are taking place in our community when it comes to community policing. And we're going to have to address those issues. But with that being said, we're going to jump into some of those news stories. As you all heard, in Half Moon Bay, California, 7 people were killed. A number of other folks were critically injured as a 67-year-old man went on a shooting rampage shortly after 4 p.m. The first victims were found dead on the San Mateo Road, and 3 additional victims were later discovered on the second site at the 2100 block of Caribbean Highway in South. Just unfortunate situation. It's just sad again that we continue to have these shootings in our community, incidents taking place. Some of the critical injured are at the Stanford Medical Center. So hopefully those folks who have been injured are getting the treatment down there at Stanford and get back into community again. Tragedy happening in our communities. We got to continue to pray. There's a lot of work we got to do when we talk about mental health. And we're going to continue to keep those conversations going on here at both sides of the conversation. Also, yesterday, if you guys didn't feel it, was a 3.7 earthquake that shook the San Francisco and other parts of the Bay Area yesterday. They said it went about 7 miles. Again, we are still dealing with these tremors that's been going on. There's been hot spots here and there, up and down the coast. And we're starting to get them here in San Francisco. Again, our emergency management folks are paying attention to what's going on. Community, be ready. They keep saying the big one is coming here in California. It's been about 30 years since 1989, 30 years plus, I should say. And we got to do our work as community. Make sure you're doing your part, okay? Get prepared. Don't just sit back and think, hey, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. You never know when a big one's going to strike. Make sure that you have your emergency plans together with your families, okay? Make sure your young people, if there is an earthquake, they know where to meet at. If you're meeting at a park, at a police station, if there's a big enough earthquake, y'all know we will lose power, communication. We might not have Wi-Fi. So please educate your young children. If something was to happen and you guys get separated, where you going to meet at if there's an earthquake or any kind of natural disaster. This storm has came through and taught us a little bit more about how we have to be prepared. Make sure you have waters, okay? Get you some waters. Make sure you have batteries. Make sure you have radios. And make sure that you have a plan in place if something happens, because again, we never know when a big one is going to happen. And we encourage you here at both sides of the conversation to make sure you have those processes and those things in place. Safety is always our number one priority, and make sure you have your first aid kits ready. Okay. It might be days, it might be weeks. Have your canned goods ready. It might be out of power for weeks. We never know how big they're going to be and what the impact is going to be. But it's always great to be intentional and plan ahead. Preventative, community. We're going to stay preventative. All right. Also, the Oakland police chief spoke out. He's demanded to be reinstated as he's been put on administrative leave from the new mayor of Oakland, as there's been investigations going on about officers and misconduct. And, it is sad to see the new mayor stepping in and already doing shakeups and this could go a number of ways. Police always stand together, and we hope that they can work this out and get the chief back to work and curbing some of this violence that's taking place in Oakland. They have already started off to a record year of shootings and homicides in Oakland. And we want to make sure that the right folks are in place to combat some of that. And hopefully our community folks, all right, that is listening, continue to work with our young people in the community and make sure that they're finding ways so that we can curb this violence in our community. And we know what's going on with the economy. I know you all been paying attention, all right? I need my community. I'm not talking to the rich folks. I'm talking to my people, my community. Make sure you're doing your part to get your emergency funds up. Make sure that you are planning, okay? If you all have not been seeing in news, a number of our Bay Area tech companies are doing massive layoffs. Okay, I think there's been already about 150,000 employees laid off across the Bay Area in just 72 hours. Amazon is laying off another 25,000 employees. Okay, we are looking at some scary financial times. Okay, we got some phenomenal folks coming on this Thursday that's going to be talking about financial literacy, community. We got to do our part to build generational wealth, make sure we are doing the right things to save all that extra spending, all that extra traveling, all the extra stuff that we've been doing. We're really going to have to make sure, okay, that we are doing the proper things to make sure that we are financially stable to get through this recession and what might turn into a mini depression coming up. So make sure you're doing your part. Save your money, okay? Don't be just buying stuff because you want to. Make sure it's things you need. Look at the grocery store. You see what's going on with the eggs, the milk, the food. Everything is going out of the roof, and it's hard to keep the money coming in when there's no jobs, okay? So community, make sure you're planning, and we're going to continue to bring on our financial coaches to make sure that you are doing the things that you need to do to save money and make sure that you have a saving plan in place just in case you become impacted, because those type of situations can happen overnight and your whole financial life could change instantly, all right? So we want to make sure our community knows about that. Also, Walmart is trying to break the gap. They are trying to raise their minimum wage to $14 an hour, aimed the food crisis. Our Walmart executives announced that they will be raising the salaries for their U.S. workers next month from $12 a minimum wage hour to $14, and in some places $19 an hour. So that's a great news in these times of all of the bad news that's going on with corporate America. Again, the cost of living is skyrocketing in this country. The interest rate is out of the roof, the GDP, all of it, okay? Pay attention. Listen to the economists. Check out what's going on. The Feds is talking about jacking up the interest rate even more, which is going to really slow this economy down. The housing market, okay, is turning upside down. We seeing it here in the Bay Area. The average medium home went from $899,000 down to about $650,000. These house prices are dropping fast, and we know when the house market starts to go, everything starts to buckle and fall under. So again, be ready for the changes that's happening. Make sure that you are ready and saving and doing the things that you need to do. Okay, community, we don't want to get blindsided by this financial crisis that is among us. All right. With that being said, we're going to jump into our community announcements, and then we're going to get into our phenomenal hidden gems tonight. And we are excited about the hidden gems that we have here tonight. So with that being said, we're going to jump into our first community event. They are celebrating the Black history culture of the Tenderloin. That is going to be happening Wednesday, January 25th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's going to be at 144 Taylor Street in San Francisco. Please check out that event as we are gearing up, getting ready for Black History Month. It's going to be some phenomenal events that we're going to be announcing. And it's more and more events coming in as we get close to February. We want to celebrate all year long, but this is our time to shine. And let's make sure we acknowledge our ancestors this Black History Month. Also, the Housing Resource Event is taking place Friday, January 27th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Southeast Community Center at 1550 Evans Street. 1550 Evans Street. I'm having problems now. I don't know what's going on. 1550 Evans Street. Get down there to the Southeast Center if you want to learn about home buying, some of the resources they have here in San Francisco. Make sure you get out there. They're going to have great information. Maybe you're a homeowner. Maybe you're trying to find some support. There's a lot of resources there. So please check out that event Friday the 27th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Southeast Community Center. Also, the San Francisco Planning Department is looking for 12 interns to work full-time with their staff on a variety of planning projects this summer from June 5th through August 25th. Applications must be submitted online by Friday, January 27th. Community, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, get your young people a part of this. This would be a great internship for our young folks so they can understand planning and development when it comes to cities and counties. Let's start getting our young people civically engaged, okay? We have to get our young folks a part of these processes, and the city and county planning department is doing a phenomenal job to bring in these interns so they can learn backhand what's going on in our community, how are they planning and redeveloping our communities, and make sure our young people and people from the community has input on what's going on. Also, we talked about the job loss. Well, hey, there is some employers out there trying to hire. They're going to have a job fair going on, okay? It's a number of dates that they're doing these job fairs. The first one is going to be Saturday, January 28th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Hamilton Rec Center. Please go to the website, check out community. Make sure at these hiring events that you come prepared. Bring your resume, bring your references, dress for success. You never know who might hire you on the spot. They're going to be doing live interviews on the spot. They're going to have a lot of resources and information how to get a job and what employers are looking for. So come prepared, come ready. Make sure you bring a number of resumes with you. And again, be dressed, ready to go. You never know what can happen. The folks out there are looking for employees. Also, the 13th annual Black History Month and Lunar New Year celebration is happening Saturday, January 28th. From 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Bayview YMCA, and that's at 1601 Lane Street in San Francisco. There'll be cultural performances, toy drives, games, raffles, food, and much more. Shout out to the Bayview Y and amazing folks over there and their leadership and Gigi and them for continuing to make sure that our community are celebrated and uplifted. All right. Shout out to the Bayview Y. They keep pushing us forward. All right. Also, the Fillmore Rhyme and Blues show is happening Friday, February the 3rd, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Peacock Lounge in San Francisco at 552 Haight Street. If you'd like to purchase tickets, the information is up there in the school. Hey, we're kicking off the New Year's. We're kicking off this Black History Month. Go out there. If you like blues, you want to hear some great music, go out there and check out the folks that's going to be putting on this blues show. It should be great. If that is you, go to the Peacock Lounge. They got some amazing stuff going on up there as well. Also, there's another job fair happening Saturday, February the 4th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the County Fair Building. Please, the information is up there on the screen. Again, come dressed for success. Make sure you have extra resumes and be ready to interview on the spot, as there are employers out there looking for employees. Also, save the date. The second annual Give Back Day is happening Saturday, February the 4th at Gilman Playground, okay? 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They still are looking for volunteers and folks to donate for this event. The invite information is up on the screen, and we'll make sure that we share those flyers again out on all of our social media handles. Also, save the date. Dreaming Forward, the celebration of Black Joy, Power to Excellence, is happening Thursday, February the 9th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. More information, please reach out to the Dreamkeeper. This is a great event, okay? It's going to be a lot of community folks and organizations a part of it. And guess what? Yes, I will be there. Both sides of the conversation will be in the building to celebrate Dreaming Forward with our DKI folks. Y'all will see us out there, folks from our team, as we'll be catching footage and going live and doing different things. And hopefully we get Pretty Tony out there to come support this event as well. So again, Thursday, February 9th, make sure you mark your calendars. Come check out. All the information is on the Dreamkeeper website, and we have already been posting those flyers on our social media handles. So make sure you check the social media handles and see what's going on. Also, the DKI Community Updates meeting is happening. I know a lot of people are asking about the Dreamkeeper Initiative Community Update meeting. They're going to have the next one Thursday, February 16th from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. That information will be going around our social media, but the link is up there if you would like to be a part of it and learn more about Dreamkeepers, the grantees, the folks that's doing the work, and how you could connect with some of the stuff that's going on. Also, the 43rd annual orchestral musical contest is happening. The theme is the African American Millennial Champions for Health and Equity and Diversity. They are accepting applications Friday, February 17th. And then they're going to have a contest that is going to happen on February 23rd from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., hosted by the San Francisco Alliance of Black Educators. So again, if you like to enroll and be a part of that, if that is you and you have those skill sets, please reach out to them and be a part of that as well. Also, our Both Sides of the Conversation annual bowling event is coming up. Community, y'all get to come party with everybody from both sides of the conversation. It's going to be lit. All right, it's going to be happening Saturday, February 18th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at SIBO at 4625 Coast Highway in Pacifica. We are still looking for sponsorship. We are looking for people who want to support volunteers. Reach out to us. Hit us at info@bsotc, and it's going to be a great event. And I assure you, you're going to have fun. We do it big here at Both Sides of the Conversation. Also, we are having a essay contest for all age groups. 200 to 500 word essay. We're going to be giving away $500 to our young people. See, because at Both Sides of the Conversation, we believe in our young people, okay? So the flyers have been going on our social media. If you haven't seen them, please go on our social media handles and find out how you could get your young folks signed up to write an essay. We have 3 different topics. We have something for our elementary kids. That's in elementary school. We have something for our middle school kids. And we have something for our high school kids. Each group for their essay will be getting a $500 gift certificate as well as acknowledgement here on this Hidden Gem segment and at our Both Sides of the Conversation bowling event. Community, make sure the young people that you sign up, they can show up on February the 18th. If they can't, we're not going to pick them, all right? We're going to give it to somebody who's going to be there live at our event, and they will have to read their essay live at our bowling event. Also, so we're going to move on to the next event. The monkeypox vaccination is still happening. If you would like to get it or you know folks who are looking for the monkeypox vaccination or flu shots, I think they're going to be doing both of those there at that site every Thursday, 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at 701 Alabama Street in San Francisco. So if you know anybody that need to get the monkeypox vaccination, please send them up to 701 Alabama Street, Thursdays, 11:30 to 2:30 p.m. Also, the Peace Park is still presenting their Friday night fun for our young folks. If you have Tay age youth, 14 and older, they're going to be having their Friday nights fun from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hamilton Rec Center at 1600 Gary Boulevard in San Francisco. This is another violence prevention measure to keep our young people off the streets, okay? We're trying to find things in the city that we can keep our young folks involved that is positive and keep them off the streets. So shout out to everybody at Peace Parks that are putting these things together and make sure that our young folks have events and things to do on Friday nights. So shout out to them all. Also, the Saturday Family and Fun Days are happening, okay? Every second and fourth Saturday, they're still having field trips, sporting events, and much more. Shout out to my guy, Nate Rebels, and to the SF Rebels as they're hosting these and make sure our community families and our young folks twice a month get an opportunity to do something to keep our young folks engaged in community. So shout out to my guy, Nate. Y'all know Nate is doing phenomenal work in our community. He always supports us here at Both Sides of the Conversation, and he always supports the young people, the families, the elders in our community. So shout out to Nate and to all the SF Rebels for continuing to do the work that they do to impact our community. Also, our Both Sides of the Conversation capacity building fundraiser is still going on. We still have a short more time as we're trying to build capacity. There's a lot of things we're trying to do within this organization. If that is you, maybe you have those financial capacities, help support us as we're trying to build out what we're trying to do to help impact community. Also, we are still looking for volunteers. We need folks to come help out. Don't just sit back and watch the work we do. Come be a part of it, okay? We're looking for some amazing folks who have talent and skills. Come in here and help support, uplift the programming and things that we're trying to do to impact our community. And maybe that is you. Come on here and support what we're doing. Reach out to us. Go to our website, click on our Join Our Squad, and come help support some of the work that we're doing in the community. If this is your first time watching us, or maybe you don't know everything about us, please follow us on all of our social media handles at Both Sides of the Conversation. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We all over the place. Just type Both Sides of the Conversation. We're going to pop up. Check out our YouTube and stay connected with us. We're doing a lot of things to impact our people in the community. With that being said, our next live show is this Thursday. We'll be having another educational Thursday. And again, we're going to be talking about financial literacy. We got some amazing folks that's going to come back on here and educate community about finance and how to build generational wealth. Again, we are in some financial crisis times right now, and we need our community folks to get it together. All right. And then this Sunday, we're going to have our Sunday conversation at 4 p.m. And we'll be talking about generational curses. If that is you out there, you want to talk about some generational curses that's been impacting you, your family, and you think you got something to say about generational curses, make sure you sign up and be a panelist this week for this show. We still have a couple more spots. So if that is you and you want to talk about generational curses that's impacted our community, please feel free to join this weekend. We want to get a couple more perspectives when we're talking about generational curses. With that being said, enough of me. I know they like, John, shut up, enough now. We want to hear the hidden gems. This is the time. We are done with all of our announcements. We're going to go ahead and bring up our hidden gems tonight. We have some phenomenal folks. So with that being said, Pretty Tony, we're going to bring up our first guest tonight, Miss Annette Roberts. She is coming on. Bless the community. How you doing, Annette? Holla at the people. Can you hear us, Annette? Uh-oh. She might have some lag. Can you hear us, Annette? I think she might have froze up. All right. She's having some Wi-Fi issues. We'll definitely get her. Can you hear us, Annette? I think you froze up.
Yes, I can hear you, John.
All right, you froze up for us for a second.
Tony.
All right, welcome back. Welcome
yes,
back.
I can hear
you. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the community.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. You froze up for a second, but go ahead. Introduce yourself to the community.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, my name is Annette Roberts Murray, and I am an author and a retired educator. I was an elementary school principal. I have 25 years of experience in education. I'm very passionate about advocating for children and helping others. As I said before, I'm an author. I have written 5 books that can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and a few of my books are in Walmart. The name of my books are Color My Mood, which is a children's book. I also have another children's book called Pandemonium. I have a 52-week devotional book out there called Be Encouraged. I have another book called My Father's Daughter, and then Unshakable Faith, which is also a Christian-based book. I just released my new book called Color My Mood. And in this book, it is addressing social emotional issues that children face on a daily basis. And so what I try to do is I try to encourage children to identify what they're feeling and think about how they're feeling and how they can process those feelings in a healthy way. I also wrote the book so that parents would have some insight on how to help their children as they're struggling with social emotional issues. We just, we're in the pandemic and our kids are suffering, and a lot of it is gone unnoticed. And so we have a lot of kids that are suffering from depression and anxiety, that are coming to school stressed out. And I want to be able to provide kids with some tools and parents with some tools on how they can help their children get the help that they need. And so in doing this, my hope is to get to the root of the problem to help kids to deal with some of the issues that they're dealing with. Some of us have noticed that during the pandemic, we have seen a lot of students who have they have had higher incidents of depression and anxiety. And so we have to reach out to our children and we have to meet them where they are to get them the necessary tools that they need. My book, Pandemonium, is also a children's book, which I wrote to help children and their parents to navigate through the pandemic. In this book, I talk about how kids are feeling in the pandemic, the whole isolation piece and how they are to deal with that, seeking out help if they need help. And so it addresses a lot of the issues that students were dealing with. Both of these books are focused on social emotional issues. And so they're a good read, not only for children, but for parents, healthcare workers, educators, anyone who is dealing with children can benefit from reading these books. And so, our kids are struggling, and we have to notice the signs of distress that our kids are exhibiting. And we need to recognize that they're struggling and stop saying, oh, you need to go ahead and do what you need to do. No, our kids are crying out for help, and we need to be there to get them the support that they need. We've seen a high incidence of minority children whose behavior has went in a negative direction because they don't know how to process their feelings and their emotions. And so when you don't address an issue, it'll start to turn into other areas that you'll see negative aspects start to arise. And in the field of education, because we had kids who were coming back to school from dealing with the issues of isolation and depression and, stress, what we saw as educators is a lot of behavior issues. Kids started acting out because they didn't know how to process their emotions. They didn't know how to deal with what they were feeling. A lot of parents lost their jobs. People lost their homes. We had an economic downturn. And so kids had to deal with issues of parents maybe arguing in the home, not getting along, families being broken up. The divorce rate went higher. And so our kids are, dealing with a lot of that. And I think sometimes we overlook that they're not as resilient as we are as adults. And a lot of us as adults were even struggling with the effects of the pandemic. And so, if we were having a hard time with it, then surely we must understand that our children are having a hard time with that also. So like I said, the social emotional piece is what I really focused on in these two books, and hoping that it would provide some insight for parents and for students. Also, in the other books that I've written, those are novels, and like the other one is a 52-week devotional, Be Encouraged. And so they're Christian based, and they tend to lean towards our walk with Christ and how it influences our daily life. But the core, the root of, what I do is a mesh of Christian base and education. I have also published 2 journal articles in the Open Journal of Social Science. My first article focuses on utilizing parent and educator self-efficacy to encourage children who are from underrepresented groups like African Americans and Hispanics to pursue careers in STEM. We want more of our children to become engineers and doctors. And so how do we get our kids, how do we raise them to become, resilient and persevere, that they take the hard courses, the biologies and, the macroeconomics classes? How do we push them into those areas so that they can go off into these STEM related careers, and we can start seeing more people in these positions that look like us? Because one thing that I've noticed as an educator, if you don't have minority teachers, if you don't diversify your staff, and you have brown and Black children sitting in classrooms with teachers who don't look like them, then our kids begin to think that that is something that they cannot achieve. And it is the same thing with STEM. If you go to a hospital or a doctor's office and our kids don't see any Black or brown doctors that look like them, then they feel like that's out of reach for them. And so in this journal article, I did some research on how we as parents can encourage our children at a young age, by teaching them how to persevere, teaching them how to take on the challenging work that it takes to go off into those STEM careers. It's not all about dancing and TikTok and, what's the funniest thing we can put on Facebook. It's about how do you steer your children at a young age to go off into those careers. I mean, we look at Serena and Venus who play tennis. We look at some of our Black prodigies, and at the core, the root of that were the parents who were right there pushing their kids and giving them the tools that they need to be successful. And it's the same thing in education. You know, our kids, what I notice as a principal, they tend to want to take the easy coursework. They just want to get it done. But that's not the path that is going to lead you down to the college coursework that you need to get off into the STEM careers. And those conversations need to be had with our children at a young age. You don't wait until your kids get into high school and say, okay, now I want you to start thinking about becoming an engineer or a doctor. Those seeds need to be planted at a young age. When you're getting ready to buy the next craze out there, how about going out and buying your child a stethoscope kit and teaching them, okay, this is how a doctor operates. These are the tools that a doctor needs, or engineering kit. Teaching your kid at a young age, this is what you're going to need if you pursue this particular career. And so I think our focus is sometimes in the wrong direction. Because if we want kids to go in that positive direction in those STEM-based careers, it starts at a young age. And I'm going to tell you, as a child, when I got in trouble, my mother, as a punishment, used to make me read the dictionary. And I used to be so upset that she would make me read the dictionary. But I'm going to tell you what it did for me. I won a lot of spelling bees. And I became a writer and an author because I knew how to put words together on paper. And so it's not always about just punishing your kid. It's about those teachable moments where you can give your children the tools that they need to be successful. And so the second article that I wrote for the Journal of Social Science, it talks about trauma and how we as educators deal with trauma. And so when I talk about trauma with educators, I'm talking about, and I'll give you an example. I have had children that I've dealt with in my career that were homeless, who were being abused. And so when you open the door to start interacting with kids on that level, because of your compassion and who you are, you know, it becomes a weight on you. And so it becomes traumatic for you to hear about those situations where kids are being verbally, sexually, and physically abused. It's not a switch that you can turn off when you go home and say, I'm going to shut this down. No, there were many nights that I did not sleep well because I knew I had a kid who was living on the street with their parents, one in particular who was sleeping in the car in the wintertime. And this kid never came to school. And I would get in my car and go out looking for the kid. And I found the kid sleeping in the trunk, and the parents were high with the crack pipe on the front seat. And so, you know, there's a trauma that goes with that, because as a human being, that does something to your psyche. It affects you. And so when I tell you I have 25 years of experience, some of those years were filled with trauma. And so in this article I wrote, it's about how do we as educators take care of ourselves so that we can be good for the next child. First, acknowledging that we have had traumatic experiences, and now what do we do about it? Because there are no systems in schools where an educator can walk in the door who has been traumatized, that there's a nurse or a psychologist that's waiting to give you the tools that you need to bring you out of that so that you can go home and be whole and, you know, for your family. Because you also have that other part too, that you have to leave some of the stuff at the door and go home and still, you know, give what you have left to your family. And so it's a very interesting read if you get a chance to read it. I'm just really excited about the next chapter of my life that the Lord has allowed me to put in 25 years. And so now what does the next chapter look like?
You was over here preaching in my mind. Everything you said was just so on point. I heard you say, what I heard you say is that parents need to be the first teacher, which I really agree with you with. And I also heard you talking about how your mom used to punish you. And that sounds like that down south treatment right there. Because I remember me getting in trouble all the time, having to sit at the table all day long, reading a dictionary. Didn't still know how to read it, but I was reading it. So I do. I remember those roots of punishment. So thank you for sharing that with community. And the STEM, yes, what you was talking about with that, I work with Black and Brown families and help them navigate their education. And the things that I have seen and heard and had to witness has been very devastating, because our Black and brown children are at the bottom toe pole of when it comes to school. But what I also heard you say was the educators taking care of themselves. That was a big piece, because we forget that they are still humans. We forget that, yes, we send our children to school for them to teach, but they need to be well taken care of too, especially through what we just went through with this pandemic and everything. I was trying to get all the books that you were saying, because I want all the books. So we got to make sure that we get the titles of all the books that you shared with us. I'm a parent myself. I have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and my 7-year-old, he missed his whole kindergarten experience. And so now he's in a school where he's in a 2nd grade, and he goes to a school where he's the only brown child in his school, in his class. And they put a word on him, and they said that he was aggressive, and I want to be able to change that stigma about them putting labels on our children like that. And so I thank you for writing these books and being concerned about our children, and as well as our parents and our educator. You are doing phenomenal things in the community, and you're definitely a hidden gem tonight. So thank you. But what I want to know
is, Tony, I want to tell you, I'm sorry. What I want to tell you too, and this is why I say it's very important to have educators who are Black and brown, because when we don't have representation there for our children, there is a lack of understanding on how to deal with our Black and brown children. Now, I just want to say that because throughout my career, I have had to talk to teachers, about you have to deal with a Black and brown child differently than you deal with, a Caucasian kid. They respond to different things because they have different backgrounds. And so it's not, you can't put a label on a child who is already active and rambunctious and just say that this is a child with a behavior. No, this child just needs some direction. They need to have somebody who's going to be firm with them, and you need to give them respect. Our kids want to be respected. They want to know that you genuinely care about them. And so when I step into a classroom, they know, here comes Mrs. Murray, we better be on our best behavior. And so I've had teachers ask me, how do you do that? I know how to relate to our children, just like our parents related to us. And if I walk in and I say, little Johnny over here is messing around, I say, Johnny, what is the expectation? What does Miss Murray expect from you? Oh, you expect that we sit down and we learn. I say, then let's get to it. And that's it. But there's a way, a relationship that you have to have with the child that you can command that. It's not that you come in and talk to them any kind of way and expect that you're going to get that respect. No, you have to build a relationship with them.
Wow, very phenomenal. I have to jump in there because my blood is boiling, okay? But I want to say, one, congratulations to you, Queen, 25 years of service. Just want to uplift and acknowledge that, and that's why you are here as a hidden gem. But we got a lot of issues. I got a lot of questions, but I'm going to just start off and say this because I heard the same things that Tony heard, but I also want to tap into a real issue that's going on in our education system, okay? I got a lot of parents, a lot of folks who reach out to me, okay? I go to these board meetings. I go to the school board meetings. There's a lot of racism in our school that we got to address, all right? Not just in San Francisco, but across this country. Mm-hmm. And the way the educators, the administrators are dealing with our young people and dealing with the families, there's some change that needs to happen. When you look across this country politically, you look in Florida, you look in Texas, okay, they are eliminating educational programming when it comes around to African-American books and literacy. That's an issue. And I heard you say a number of times, having folks who are culturally appropriate, a part of the community. I got a number of questions. One is how we get there, because we know the problems in our community when we talk about the drugs, we talk about the abuse, the PTSD, the trauma, the lack of social economical supports. We understand that, but we got to hold some of the accountability to our school district. And I got to ask you a question. It's going to be a tough question as an educator, as a principal, because I know on the administrative side it's totally different. One, how do we motivate our young teachers coming out to get involved and get in the classroom? How do we change those models where we bring these people who are not culturally appropriate and they come to our community to get their loans paid off and they get access to these schools, and then in 5 years, 3 years, they learn how to teach and then they go into another community and they sell? How do we keep those people out of our school districts? How do we keep them away from our children? And then when we talk about curriculum, okay, we have to be honest in our community. The school boards across this country, the school system has failed Black and brown students when it comes to literacy and education. I just got off a call today, okay, talking to some educators. Said, John, a large number of our high school students right now are reading at a 4th grade level, okay? So part of it, we can blame the families, but the educators, I got some questions because I'm looking at these classrooms. I go to these schools, I pop up, and our teachers are not engaged with our young people. And I heard you say something about how to connect with our young people. And I keep saying, we have to connect with our young people before we correct them. And when we don't have people that comes in our community and teach in our schools that know how to connect with our youth, that is the disservice and that is the disconnect. Because once you can't connect with the youth, you can't educate that youth. So for my question to you is, how do we fix that?
Okay, a lot of it is systemic, just like you said, John. A lot of it is systemic. It's been in place for a long time. The systems had a lot of conversations with the superintendent in my district. And what needs to happen is they need to start hiring more minority teachers that can come in, and they need to offer incentives, not just a 5-year you get your loans forgiven. How about you have to stay 10 years? How about that? And then we'll pay off your loans, especially in our Title I schools, our lower socioeconomic schools, because what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of well-to-do teachers who come from affluent families. They come and they teach in our Title I schools. And as soon as their time is up where they can get their loans forgiven, then they take that flight and go back out to the suburban schools. And so there needs to be a longer time limit that those teachers, have to stay at these Title I schools, at these lower socioeconomic schools. But there also needs to be training. How do you deal with children of color? Because what you see is, as a teacher, you bring in your background of how you were taught, and that's how you interact with kids. Well, we all know that we were taught things that may not have been right, but because our parents believe those things. And so that comes across in our teaching. And so as an administrator, because I was frequently in classes, I saw some things that were happening, and I had to have some courageous conversations with some of my teachers and let them know that's not acceptable. We don't talk to kids like that. We don't treat kids like that. And would you want somebody to treat your child like that? And so it's a monitoring situation where administrators need to be in the classrooms to see what's going on so that they can advocate for kids. Because my whole motto throughout my career was not on my watch. You're not going to harm a kid on my watch. I remember the mean teacher that I had when I was a child. I never forgot that teacher. She was mean and nasty, and she said nasty and mean things to kids that were hurtful. And those types of comments leave a mark on a child that grows up to become an adult that remembers that that teacher was mean to them. I never wanted that to happen on my watch. And so when I got complaints from parents and from students that I had teachers that were behaving in that manner, I did not hesitate to call those teachers to my office and have a courageous conversation with them that won't be tolerated. And so, there's a process, the personnel process you go through to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. The other thing, like I said, you have a lot of districts, especially here in the Valley, that say that they can't find Black teachers. Well, where are you recruiting from? Are you going down south? What's the carrot that you're dangling to get these teachers to come to your district? Because there needs to be some incentives, or else you're going to continue to have white teachers that are servicing Black children. And I'm not saying that all white teachers are bad, but there needs to be some teachers that look like our children that they can relate to. They need to have a connection. And then, like I said, the training needs to come. You need to train teachers how to, not just the book training, because I went through my credential program. There was nothing in there that teaches you how to deal with children from different backgrounds. There's nothing in there that teaches you about the culture of different children. It wasn't until I got into teaching that I understood why an Asian kid wasn't giving me eye contact, because in their culture, it's disrespectful to look an adult in the eye. But you have some teachers saying, look at me, you're being disrespectful because you're not looking at me. Well, you don't know anything about the culture, then that becomes an issue. That becomes an issue. You start raising your voice at a child who's African American, that becomes an issue, because now you're disrespecting them, but you want to command respect from them, but it's a two-way street. And so, like I said, a lot of the stuff is systemic, that you need to have districts and boards sit down and look at their policies and their practices and say, hey, we've been getting complaints for so long about this issue. We need to do something different. You don't keep beating a dead horse and expect, for it to change. What do they call that? Insanity. You're doing the same thing, but expecting a different result. And so, I just want to say, it's a bigger spectrum. It's a lot greater than just one.
Well, Miss Annette, I want to tell you this. We are living in insanity, because I go to these school board meetings and I'm tired of these people, and we call them out because they're poverty pimping in our community, okay? We got to call it what it is. We talk about equity. We talk about inclusion. We talk about diversity. And let me tell you, majority of these school districts that I go to, you don't see the equity on the school board. You don't see the equity, and you don't see the inclusion in our classrooms. You don't see it at the principal level. You don't see it at the teacher level. And what's happening is, you're right, when we don't recruit right and we don't get the right incentives and the training, I'm telling you what's happening. We got a bunch of teachers who don't know how to deal with our young people, and what they're doing is saying they labeling our youth. They ADHD, they got learning disabilities, they have all these issues. And I fight this every day, because I say, I understand some of our young people have struggles, but you can't tell me that 85% of Black kids have all of these prescribed issues that these teachers are saying, because they don't know how to deal with our community. So if we don't change that narrative, we're going to have a generation of kids who are addicted to Adderall and all the other stuff that they think they need, because somebody's telling them, oh, there's something wrong with you. And we got to change that. So my thing to the school district, to the governor, to the heads of California, we cannot just do this performative act of how we're trying to provide inclusion and equity in our community. We got to see it. And this is why I say our parents, the people in the community, we have to get involved. Okay. They are separating our communities by scheduling these board meetings at different times when folks are working at night, and it's impacting our community. We got to stand up collectively, show up, and make sure that we are representing our young people. Because again, if we're not standing up for the young people, who else wins? These kids do not see the fight from their parents. They don't see the fight from the community. They don't see the fight from the community organization fighting for them. Okay, I've been to a number of these meetings, and you only see 10, 12, 15 people show up. And everybody that don't look like us have all these people here talking about what our kids need. We got to stand up as parents, adults, leaders in the community. We got to get involved, okay? Because what's happening in our school district right now across this country cannot continue to happen. We cannot have 18-year-old, 17-year-old high school students at a fourth grade reading leader level and expecting them to excel at a high level in this country. It's just not going to happen. But my last question before I give it to Tony is this, because you are a principal. You get some of those administrative privileges. I have to ask you, is it time for Black people to ask for Black schools and segregate our schools from everybody else?
I don't think so. I don't think that that's the answer, because that's not how the world is. Our kids are going to have to learn how to integrate and get out there and move and be amongst people of all different backgrounds. And so we need to train them how to do that at a young age. And so when we start talking about separating, okay, that's not a reality. We need to give our kids what they need. And you're right. Most of our kids are 3 or 4 grade levels behind in their reading. And that was a struggle for me, because when I sat at the table with our African-American parents and our, Hispanic minority parents, one of the things I've always encouraged parents to do is have your child read. We live in a time where it's electronic. Everything is electronic. Kids are playing games. They're on TikToks. Where is the priority that if you want your child to do better, you're going to have to make them practice reading? The only way a child gets better at reading is through practice reading. And so I tell parents, keep books in the car. When you're riding through in the car, have your kid reading. You know, there has to be, like you said, not just an expectation for the school to educate your child. It's a joint venture. It's a home venture and it's a school venture. And the parents who want their kids to succeed and who are diligent about making sure their kids succeed, those are the parents that are making their kids read. Those are the parents that are giving their kids those experiences as far as taking them to libraries. It's not always costly. It's little things that you can do to expose your kid to, you know, these different experiences. You want them to have rich experiences, not just hanging out. Take them somewhere they've never been. When my kids were young, I remember taking them down to the aquarium and taking them to museums. Kids need that. They need to see what's out there. And so I think, you know, we kind of fall short in that area. But you're right. A lot of us don't show up. A lot of African-American parents and Hispanic parents and minorities, they're not showing up to the board meetings. They're not advocating for their children. And then when the system goes awry, you know, we hear these voices of complaints and it's like, okay, where were you in the planning stage? Where were you when it was time to make your voice heard? It's not showing up after the race has been ran. It's showing up at the beginning when the race is starting out so that you get your voice heard. That's very important. And so what you see is those powers to be have taken control and start doing things the way they want to do them because they're not getting the input. And it could be a scheduling situation, but we do what's important to us. We move mountains when we want what we want. And so if there's a sale and it starts at 7 o'clock in the morning and you want those new Jordans, I've seen people line up to get those. It's not something I would do because it's not important to me. That's how we should have parents feeling about their kids' education.
So, Miss Annette, respectfully, I have to push back. This is both sides of the conversation. And we always have both sides of the conversation. But I have to push back on this one thing. And this is all I want to say. And this is not disrespectful. But the reason why I say I have to push back, because when I say, do we need to have black schools? I've had a number of educators on my show, and this is not the first time I've asked the educator this. Okay, we have to be careful. And this is why I say black folks, we got to be intentional on what we asking for. Because in one part of it, you're saying, hey, we need black teachers. We need culturally appropriate people to come in here and work with our kids. But when we say, hey, we need to go to black schools and desegregate from this so that our young kids, because I'm going to tell you, I believe when our schools were segregated, our black ancestors taught our young people how to engage with other races. I think they got that training. So we can't be afraid of taking back our power. But I have to push back because I hear a lot of educators saying, no, John, we can't do that. We fought so hard. But listen, everywhere we go, every meeting that I'm in, all I hear people say how black folks are being mistreated, how people don't understand black folks. So when do we say enough's enough? When do we say that? Because if we keep saying, oh, we need, I hear it in the mental health realm. We need more mental health professionals that look like us. We need more black, culturally appropriate therapists. Okay. I'm in these meetings and I hear it. I say, well, why can't we have it? Well, we need to have different alternatives and opportunities and options. No, I think the way we fix this problem in our country right now, we need black schools with black male teachers, with black female teachers who can educate, uplift, and empower our young people and understand what our young people need. If we continue to wait for this racist, systemic school system with their racist educational curriculum, okay, I'm hearing stories from parents right now who are talking about what schools have done last Black History Month, causing harm to our young people, putting together programming to identify and profile black people. This is the message that they are putting in our young people. I cannot no longer as a leader stand here and be okay with the racism, the amount of hate that is going on in our school system to our young people and say it's okay for us to stay in this model, and it's okay. This system has failed Black children. This system has failed Black families. This system has continually caused harm to Black children. When are we as Black leaders, Black parents, Black people stand up and say, enough's enough? We're going to take control of our young people. We're going to take control of our education. I don't care what they think it looks like. If we don't grab a hold of it as leaders in our community, where are our young people going to be in the next 20 years? How long, elders of the community, how long, leaders of the community, do we stand back and continue to watch the harm that continues to happen to our young people? How long do we sit here and we be okay with what's going on before we step up and take control of the lives of our young babies? This is a responsibility of Black fathers, Black mothers, Black community leaders. When are we going to stand up and say enough's enough? That's the conversation that I would like us to have, because I am not going to allow us to continue to stand here and watch white racist systems, white racist educational systems continue to perpetuate harm on our young people, and we just stand here and say, no, it's okay. But every time we show up to the board meetings, but every time we show up to the community meetings, we talk about how it's not enough Black representation. When do we take the steering wheel? I want to know. That's all I want to put out there. And it's like, again, no disrespect to you, but I have to put that out there because I am tired of our leaders and I'm tired of our Black educators standing there watching this harm in our community. And when we talk about desegregating our schools and building schools for Black individual youth, it's always a pushback. No, John, we can't do that. Our people fought to. I am tired of it. I gotta say that. So again, I don't need to get on this rant, but I have to let our community know because this is both sides of the conversation.
Right.
And I am tired of what I'm seeing happen to Black youth in this country. These school systems are passing our people forward without the level of education, without the knowledge that they need. They're setting them up for failure. They are building more prisons than they are building schools on the back of our young people.
Yeah.
We cannot do this no longer, community.
I agree with you. You know, there's two sides to that. And if in a utopian situation where everything was perfect and we were able to, you know, find the staff and bring forth all the teachers and the advocacy from the parents to do that, you know, that might be a solution. But on the flip side of that, I also don't want to handicap our kids in thinking that, okay, I'm going to send you to this Black school. You're going to get all the resources that you need, because the social piece of it, that they're going to have to go out in white America and they need the tools. We need to give them the tools in which they can navigate that system, because that school is only going to last for 3 to 4 years. Okay. After that, we ship them out into the world. Do we send them out there without the tools? They need the tools, because there is no all Black economy. There is no all Black world where we can walk around and just work with Black people. You know, we've got to work with all people from different backgrounds. So I hear your passion, and I totally agree with you that the system fails our kids in a lot of way, but there needs to be more loud voices to demand change. The Me Too movement came out. What about the education movement, a Save Our Children movement? I haven't heard the voices on that. And so when we start talking about the system being a failure, why isn't there a cry out in society to do more to help our children? Because our children are far behind. I had kids that were sitting in 4th grade that were barely reading on a 1st grade level. But because you can only hold a child back one time, after that, you have to move them forward, even if they're 3 years behind. So it's already a system where, you know, it's going to set you up for failure if you're already behind. And like I said, that's a double-edged sword, because as parents, you know, sometimes parents are trying to put food on the table and they don't have the resources to get their children what they need. And so we're constantly filling in gaps. There's like water leaking from the building, and we got buckets sitting everywhere trying to fill in the gap, and kids are drowning. And so it's a difficult task, but it's a systemic problem that needs to be addressed from the systems that we have in place. As an administrator, there was plenty times I sat in those meetings and I was frustrated because I knew where my kids were and I didn't have the tools that I needed to get them to where they needed to be. 25 years I went through that. And so you know what I did as an administrator? I had to triage. I had to save the most amount of kids as I possibly could. It's like a nurse or a doctor. When you have mass casualty on your hands, not everybody is going to make it, but you save the ones that you can. And that's what I did. And so, you know, I think that's the situation that a lot of administrators are in when we look at our minority students.
Well, thank God for you fighting for our young people. Again, I'm going to say, community, we have to dismantle the system. Radical change is what's going to need to happen. We got to get behind our administrators who are fighting for our cause. Again, we got to dismantle what's going on. Community, we have to get involved. We have to do our civic duty. We have to change this education system. And however side of the fence you own, we can have those conversations, and we'll create another conversation about education coming up. There's a lot of educators. There's a lot of African-American parent advisory groups going on. And we got to find out where's our role. When do we say enough's enough? Because I've had enough. I am tired of the racism, the articles that I'm reading in the paper, the amount of racism that's happening to our students in Black schools. It's just too much. When do we, as community leaders, parents, step up? This is the time. But we're getting out of time here. I know these conversations could go on and on. But Miss Annette, thank you for coming on. We're definitely going to support you because we're going to pick up some of your books because I like the things that you've been doing. And we're going to support you in that manner. But before we let you go, is there any folks you want to shout out? Any teachers or vice principals or principal, anybody that you want to shout out? Now's the time before we let you go and bring up our next Hidden Gem tonight. Please do it now, Queen.
Well, I want to give a shout out to my colleagues, Dr. Alan Dostie. He was the director of child welfare and attendance. I worked with him very closely to get kids to come to school. We had to get creative with that, but a lot of times driving through the community and looking for kids who were missing in action for weeks, knocking on doors. My vice principal, Dara Chun, was right there with me. So I want to give a shout out to them because you need to have a support system around you. You cannot do it on your own because it will wear you out. And we have massive amount of educators that are leaving the profession because they are overwhelmed. They're stressed out because they don't have the tools that they need to help their kids to be successful. And so, you know, that's another problem and another conversation that we need to look at. We've got a shortage of teachers because the profession has changed so much. It's so stressful now that people are not even staying in that long. You know, we got new teachers who come in, they work 2 or 3 years and then they're gone. And so started out the school year, didn't even have enough teachers to fit and to fill the classrooms. So that's another conversation.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Queen, for your 25 years of service. Thank you for meeting the people where they at. I always tell people, teachers, we have to get out of the classroom, meet our people where they at. And it's not in the classroom, it's in the community. We got to bring our babies back to the schoolhouse and get involved. Yeah. But thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your leadership and being a trailblazer when it comes to education. We're going to continue those conversations. I'm going to have my team reach out to you, and we're going to talk about this. I'm going to bring on some other educators here in San Francisco, and let's talk about it. Let's get the community energized, okay? I want people to be very excited about our young people, okay? We have some bright young people. If you didn't listen to our Sunday conversation, look what good education, good leadership could do when you listen to our young speak, and their mindsets is very powerful. But we got a lot of work to do. It's not over. But we're not going to sit here anymore, community. We're going to step instead. I want to see the school board meetings full with Black faces. All right, we're going to do our part. Let's do this in 2023. Yes. With that being said, thank you, Queen, for being here. I'll make sure our team reach out. We're going to pick up some of your books and support you. And we're going to make sure Pretty Tony gets up because Pretty Tony is a phenomenal mother, and she makes sure her young folks are educated. We want to make sure she get those books and some of the folks on our team, and maybe we'll give a few out at our bowling event so that families can have it. Education is important. Reading is important, y'all. Community, there is a lot of work that we need to do. Yes. And education is on the forefront of it all. With that being said, thank you again. I know you got to get out of here. Have a blessed evening, and we'll be looking.
We appreciate you so much.
In the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo, Tony, that was deep. All right. With that being said, y'all done got my blood. Y'all done already woke the bishop up. I haven't even got to the benediction yet, Tony.
I
and
know. I thought your head was going to explode for a second there. I was praying over here for you,
Tony. You know.
But I understand it get like that on this platform. So that's how we do it on both sides of the conversation. When it's so authentic like that, it's a must. So I appreciate that.
Tony, you know, I love your children, and you know my grandbaby. And when we talk about education, I'm always thinking about the future. So when we talk about education, it is a touchy situation because I want to make sure our Black babies get all the access and all the information they need. And that type of stuff gets me fired up. Y'all that don't know me know the bishop. When it comes to the people, I don't play about my people. All right. And I'm not going to let anybody play with my people. All right. I'm going to stand up. All right. We got Stephanie coming up. Hey, y'all, let's get ready. We'll kick in another author that's here. Miss Stephanie, come up. Welcome to Both Sides of the Conversation, Queen.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Stephanie Welch, and I'm an author. I grew up in the Bay Area, the East Bay, love the East Bay. I say that I grew up and down the 80 highway from Hercules all the way to Alameda. I am an author. I published my first book in 2017, and I actually have it right here. It's called And I'm Thinking, a collection of what the F's, and most people are familiar with that acronym as it has a naughty word in it, and I won't be disrespectful and say that word on both sides of the conversation, but I'm sure most people know what it stands for. And
wait a second. We got to stop. Hold on. This is Both Sides of the Conversation. This is for our people. You got to tell the people what it is. It ain't no because you're here. This is for our people, okay?
Got you.
Be real. We authentic here. We're not CNN and we're not Fox News. This is for our people. Speak up, Queen. Talk to the people. Don't be holding back.
Got you. Okay, so this is my first book. It's called And I'm Thinking, a collection of what the fucks. However, people, it's not always about just that word itself. I wrote it from the standpoint of thinking about interactions, encounters that I've had with so many different people in my life. It's like a timeline from the time I was a little girl to going through my 20s, going through my 30s. And really, it's more about what the faith, what the family, what the fitness, what the friendship. I mean, you can apply any F-bomb of your choice to this collection of stories. And I wrote it because I really, in my heart, wanted to be so truthful and relatable to other people that are experiencing isolation or confusion or just never really knew how to share their voice. And so there's 103 real stories. It's nonfiction about life and about every topic you can imagine, from racism to going on strange dates. It's very emotional. I am someone who is a survivor of really tough grief, as I am a daddy's girl, and unfortunately lost my father to a lung condition in 2007. So it's a roller coaster of stories, up and down, up and down. And I designed it so that you never really know what story is coming next. You might be really feeling some of the sorrow in one of the stories, and then next we're talking about ice cream and how there's like, why really are there 31 flavors? I don't know. You know, it's just anything that you can imagine. So one of my values is imagination, like really using your imagination. And I put that in this book. And I'm someone who grew up and it was kind of tough for me to express myself and, you know, just be me. And finally, by writing this book, And I'm Thinking, I got to share like what I am actually thinking, who I actually am, and what are the things that I take seriously. So very, you know, this was my first publication. It's not error-free, people. You know, it's a growing curve when you are learning to be your best self, but it is authentic from the heart. So it's on Amazon and you can check it out. Before I get into my second book, I just want to say that I have worked as a youth developer for going on 11, 12 years now. I have abundance of experience working with youth direct service. I was an intern at Yosemite Church in Merced. I worked with Building Young Leaders and a homeschool educational center for homeschooled kids in Merced. Then went on to Young Life, Girls Inc. of Alameda County in Oakland, Community Youth Center. Shout out to all of the organizations that I worked for, but Community Youth Center is one of those organizations and experiences that gave me so much love and confidence and invested in me totally. And so I really feel like without them, I might not even be sitting here right now. But now currently I work at Life Learning Academy, which is like a beautiful experience. I am the first ever student recruitment and outreach coordinator here that they've had in 25 years. And it's a public charter high school on Treasure Island. It's a hidden gem itself. And I'm very proud to represent the school and the organization. It is for high schoolers. So, I'm always available. Hit me up on any of the social media or email me. We can talk about that. But back to writing, I am very proud to sit here to tell you all that I am on the verge of publishing my second book and first novel called Unfortunately Marvelous. It's a title that just one day plopped down into my brain, the right side of my brain. I honestly literally stopped in my tracks because it like shot down from heaven, like, oh, you right here. Yeah, you're gonna write this. And I was actually, I think, in the middle of finishing up my first book and got through the first half of Unfortunately Marvelous very, very, very quickly. And then God took me on another journey, another ride, bumps in the road. And it's taken me nearly like a decade to finish Unfortunately Marvelous. But I'm so grateful. You can't change what the process is. You just kind of have to go with it. And it is fiction with a lot of hints of truth. And it's about a young woman, 27 years old, who doesn't have a close relationship with her mother. Her mother favors her sons. Her mother struggles with addiction, and she is an alcoholic. And myself, I've had some, I've struggled myself with addiction in certain ways, especially alcohol. So since the age of 12, she's collected fortunes out of the cookies. She journals. And so she takes her fortunes and she journals what they are. And that's like her form of prayer, because nobody in her life has really ever introduced her to God or having a relationship with a higher power, but her writing is her higher power. So she has a best friend of Asian descent. Her family has a restaurant. And all of this takes place in what I call a small dead town. As y'all get to know me, I actually spent time in Merced, California, which shout out to Merced. It's actually was a beautiful, transformative, soul redefining experience for me. However, I am not from there. I'm from the Bay. So transplant to Central California in the Valley, like what? It was really challenging. But lo and behold, thank God, I got all of this content for Unfortunately Marvelous. So the character, her best friend, her name is Lamu. Lamu has a brother named Benji who was fortunate to get out of Merced and expand his horizons. He comes back into town and they develop a wonderful relationship. But it's amazing because I won't tell the whole story because I do want y'all to read it and enjoy it. But the main character, her name is Tahani, and she moves out of her mother's home where she experienced so much despair and so much rejection. And she meets a shiny-haired white lady in a grocery store. And she's a people pleaser. So she bumps into her at the grocery store and then immediately apologizes. And then she asks the lady, how are you? How are you doing? Because she's just trying to like make up for bumping into her. Because everything is like, she feels like everything she does, she has to apologize for. And the lady in this very calm demeanor says to her, I'm normal, average, ordinary. And these are all the things that she despises because she's growing up in a small dead town with lack doubt and opportunity. But the demeanor in this woman was so powerful and so strong and poised that she's like normal and average and ordinary. Who would ever want to be that? But there's some really cool relationship building that happens between the shiny white-haired lady and Tahani, the main character, so much so that she's able to kind of reroot herself in the same home that she felt so much, rejection and so much sadness. And then she goes on a road trip with Benji, and her fortunes turn into signs, road signs, traffic signs, such as like road work ahead. And God just talks to her from all these different angles, but she's really able to see her country, her nation, a place that she was so unsure about, but really wanted to get to the other side of. And there's a lot of me in this book, I'm not gonna lie. And then there's also like friendships and, just experiences all around. But she does get a happy ending, because I want a happy ending and I want our people to have a happy ending. It's not like, I'm gonna take her on this road where she doesn't see the reward in exactly who she is and what she's been able to manifest from a spiritual standpoint that she wasn't really even familiar how to get to. So the book is really about owning whatever it is about yourself that makes you normal, makes you average, makes you ordinary, because all of those things actually make you marvelous through the fact that you've been through unfortunate circumstances. So just really proud of it. It's not out yet, but it will be, and I'll be happy to come back and share more.
This sounds like this should be like a movie or a sitcom or like a series. I was like, come on, tell us some more. Tell us some more. Congratulations on everything. We look forward to getting those books and reading what you came up with. But what I want to know was, what was the process like of writing this book? Like, what was your process like with putting everything down?
So after my father passed away, my dad was actually a phenomenal writer. He had the gift, and I'm pretty sure, he passed it on to me, not saying I'm phenomenal like that, but, I could pat myself on the shoulder because I got through writing. So basically for me, the title either comes like with And I'm Thinking, the title came through me. And then once the title is like, I almost download it in myself. And then once that happens and I've accepted that it's my task and my assignment, then I already have the table of contents. It already just naturally flows out of me. With Unfortunately Marvelous, it was the same thing where the title came down and then the table of contents was already there. So I'm the type of person where I like to write out the table of contents because it reveals itself to me. And then the content, the story builds from there, like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3.
And so would you write like a couple of pages a day? Did you write at night, or was it the best time in the daytime, or,
it really just depends. I don't really have a like time where I write. To be honest, I'm not the most like, oh my God, I can't wait to write type of person. Like it honestly feels a little agonizing at times, and my own like body and flesh wants to restrict me of the experience, but then I just push through it. So I don't exactly know when the feeling will come on to write, but I know sitting down, I'll give you an example. My publisher, Gumbo for the Soul, she requested a description of Unfortunately Marvelous. And your girl really was not in the mood to write. I did not want to do it. Okay. But then as soon as I sat down and I wrote, and I thought about it a little bit, it's funny how I don't even have to think about it too hard. It's just already there. I feel like I came up with the best description of the book that could be possible. Like I'm really comfortable with it. And I feel like it resonates exactly what the story is about without giving the story away. So my advice to any writer or a person kind of flirting with the idea that they are a writer is to sit down and surrender to it. Even if you don't write anything for 5-10 minutes, just sit down with a piece of paper or a laptop and just see what's inside of you.
I love that.
Well, I got to jump in there because twice, I was going to jump in there. You are phenomenal. Okay, and I heard you downplaying yourself, and I can't let that continue to happen because this is our hidden gem. So you are here so we can highlight you. You are phenomenal, and we have to continue to push that into our people. And I don't want you to push back on worrying about taking credit and acknowledgement. This is what this segment is about. It's to uplift you. Okay, it's to push the work that you are doing forward. And again, you came on about we want authentic people here. Okay, this is our platform. And I want you to embrace everything that you are doing because that's what we need in our community. So I just want to give you a kudos. Okay, you are phenomenal, and thank you for being vulnerable to talk about the things you've been through because I think this is what's missing in our community. And the more people that we have come on our platform, talk in our communities, talk in our schools, we're going to make change because there's a young person out there listening. There's somebody out there listening that's going to hear your testimony and you're going to encourage them. So I want you to lead forward in 2023 with confidence. Yes, take your credit. Okay, it's okay to have that confidence about what you're doing and how you put your processes together is very phenomenal. Right? Everybody doesn't have that collective genius of how to put it in. I'm sure your dad played a lot of role on you because I know it's in your DNA. Whatever it is, it just comes out. But again, he's there with you. But I just want you to say, Queen, keep your head up and keep pushing forward with the work you're doing because it is hard for some people to take what's going on in their head and actually push it out into a book or into a community. And I got a second Tony. When you were sitting there going through it, I said, hey, this is Amazon Prime right here. This is a Netflix short series. We got to get this type of stuff to the people. So you might be on to something. Tonight might be the night that we encourage you. Maybe Netflix is watching. Somebody reach out to this queen, okay? Because we need to put these realities and these struggles and things that we go through to the people. Only way we can change our communities, we have to be vulnerable and we have to be open to letting the community see what we're going through and how we overcome because somebody out there is going through a struggle tonight and heard your testimony and say, hey, if she could do it, I can do it, right? It's just those little things that we need in our community. You went from one book to 2 books. You're on the process of breaking ground. That is phenomenal, okay? And I want you to always pat yourself on the back and, make sure that you uplift the work that you're doing. Take your credit. Take your shine, okay? Because if you don't, somebody else will. All right. And we want to make sure that you're uplifted and supported in our community. We're going to do our part because we're going to support you. We're going to get the what the fuck book is going on. What I don't know what it is. We're going to get it tonight. Okay. Because I want to
all the F's, she said. All the F's. That's the one you picked. Okay. That's the one you picked. You could have picked any family, friend, but that's okay.
I had to spice it up a little bit. Okay, community. I apologize. Somebody's texting me now. I said, John Henry, watch your language. Okay, I'm sorry. But
no. That's how we do it on this platform. So you're
that's
okay.
how we do it. But it again, it's just really about engaging our community. And I just want you to know that keep doing the work that you're doing because I think so much trauma, like the previous guest said, and things that we go through in our community is really bottled in us. You get what I'm saying? And to have you use your creative, artistic mind to pull out all of this and put it into a book to help other people, I just think it's great. And I think we need more of it. I mean, it's so many ways that we can express feelings, emotions, and things that we're experiencing or going through. But for you to able to put it in a box and get it on a paper, I think is great. And we're looking forward to seeing this marvelous book. You've got me intrigued now, and I want to see about it. And we're going to definitely support you and get some of those.
We manifesting that it's going to be a movie.
Okay, all right. Well, you can connect with Pretty Tony. She's an actress and she do a lot of stuff. Maybe Pretty Tony get you connected. But lastly, I guess for me, what I wanted to ask is, when you're going through this process, through life, and I know you said some of it is related to you, how much of you do you add into it, into these books or into your writing, or do you observe, sometimes I hear writers say they kind of, have different people that they're around and they pick up what they're doing because they always say in a relationship, you can't see anything, but outside you can see everything. Is that kind of how you see it, or you just kind of incorporate a little bit of everything into the gumbo?
I've always been told that I stare at people, like since I was little, like, why do you stare at people? And I couldn't answer it when I was a kid. I just knew that, I was looking and I wasn't trying to harm or hurt anybody or be rude. And I think in our society, there's all these little like sayings like, oh, don't be rude, you're staring at people. But you're not thinking about like what gift is inside of that person is the reason why they might be doing that. And for me, I've learned I observe very strongly because I'm taking notes, I'm taking like stories and instances around me that are happening, and I'm compiling them. And then later on, it could really end up in a book, it could end up as a story. So that's part of, my process. And I've just had to embrace, like, I'm still learning, I'll be honest, like who I am and accepting that I'm a writer. Like it feels, I'm gaining so much more confidence. Like it's finally at a point where I can say, I am a writer, I am an author. This is what I bring to the table. There was a time and place where, going to networking events were really difficult for me. Like, you want to know my name? Okay, fine. But after I tell you my name, what else am I going to say? Like, what skills do I really bring? So it's been, I can honestly say, a very sturdy ladder that I've climbed because I'm a believer and I know God has been holding it, as well as all the angels around. But I'm finally at a process where like I'm slowly getting to the top and just feeling more confident in myself as the writer that I think I've always been. And the last thing I want to say is embrace, like I want to tell anyone out there who's like thinking about writing. For me, I had an aha moment back in like 2011. I was watching the Preview Channel, and you know how the Preview Channel has all these different titles, and it's a plethora of words and letters. And I'm looking and I'm seeing like Family Matters or CNN or all these just like simple ass words that anybody could say at any point. And I'm like, well, who's behind the title of Family Matters? Who's behind House Hunters International? Like, why is it that I'm sitting on this positive risk? Why am I sitting on this nudge that is trying to get me to understand that it's time to, put mind to pen? And it was really the Preview Channel that inspired me, because if you really look at it, it's just a bunch of ideas. And so we all have ideas in us, and just there was somebody that went after theirs. And so finally, it really empowered me, encouraged me to go after my idea and put it down and just start the process.
Wow, phenomenal, very powerful stuff. We just glad that you're embracing your greatness, okay? And as you continue to do this work, you're going to get more confident. You're going to walk with your head up, and people going to be saying, oh, you too cocky, you too confident. Let them say it. Keep moving forward. Step and stand. That's what I tell my people. Step and stand. Do what you got to do. But before we let you go, because I know we got to get our last guest out here. It's getting late. We're here to support you. We're going to uplift you. And, one of the things that I want you to think about is, how do you inspire young people? Because we had an educator on here, and I'm thinking about the young people. And I think some of the experiences that you've been through, when we talk about confidence and bringing people in there, think about how you're going to incorporate this to get young people in the community to do this. Think about curriculum, because I would like to see you teaching young people on how to do some of this stuff and getting them ready and building up their encouragement. I think that's where your power is. That's where your calling is. And I think you're going to get there, okay? You just got to keep pushing forward. And every day you continue to do this work, I think you're going to get there. But Tony, if there's anything else you want to say, go ahead and say it. And then Stephanie, if you want to go ahead and give any shout outs to people before we end you out tonight. We will be getting your book. We'll have our production team reach out to you and make sure we pick up I don't know, but we'll pick it up.
What the family, what the fun, what the freak.
We're going to pick it up.
We appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to reading your book and seeing the movie come out and maybe being casted in it. But yeah, I also appreciate you a while ago saying how, like, you had to get used to the next level and journey that you're going through right now, because I think sometimes people don't understand that when you work so hard, and I know I heard you say you have faith, but it's still a high, like, I can't believe I'm here. So other people feel like that. And that's, like John was saying earlier, please keep speaking out. Please keep doing what you're doing, because other people feel that same exact way. Like, as Black women, we're not celebrated enough. And sometimes when we do get that platform to be celebrated, we don't even know how to celebrate ourselves. So again, congratulations. Keep doing what you're doing. You sounded like you have ascended through a lot of things. That's my favorite word to say, because I believe that's what we do. And I'm just proud of you, and I can't wait to get the book.
Thank you, Tony. And I wanted to say happy birthday to you. I know you just turned the age you turned, the big 40, and I also turned 40. I'll be 41 actually in February. And it just feels really good. I love that word ascend, because right before I turned 40, I felt like I was ascending. And now being at 40, I just feel like I'm at home. Like it's so comfortable. So yeah, congratulations on hitting that.
Hold on, what is going on here? I thought ladies don't tell their age. What is going on? Y'all telling y'all age on
listen, we look good. We not ashamed. Yeah, we're not ashamed. We look good. We powerful. We got it going on, and we don't have to be afraid to tell our age. That's it.
All right, young ladies, it's okay to tell your age now. When I ask you the age, don't give me that. Women don't tell their age now. Okay, the queens are telling their age tonight. All right.
That's a different topic. That's a different topic.
All right, Stephanie. Well, thank you again for being here. If there's any shout out that you want to give out to your team or anybody, please do it now before we let you go, so that we can get Miss Itanya up here to talk about the amazing work she's doing.
Yeah, I just want to quickly shout out. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to shout out Dr. Terry Delane here at Life Learning Academy, co-founder and principal, as well as the other co-founder, Craig Miller. They both gave me the opportunity to be where I'm at in this role. I like to shout out the publisher that I'm working with, Beverly Johnson, Gumbo for the Soul Publications. And I want to shout out, let me see. I guess I was going to say myself. That came out. Let me shout out myself. And
we didn't already told you. Yes, shout yourself out. Yes. Say it. We're not leaving this platform till you do it. Do it right now.
And my mom. I want to thank my mom. She does a lot to still, help me out. And yeah, my parents, my dad, may he rest in leadership, rest in peace. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Man, thank you very much. Our condolences to you losing your father. But I know he's looking down on you, saying, look at my baby now. And we're going to continue to support you. Tony, we will be picking up our book. Our production team will be reaching out to you. We're going to pick up your book. And when your marvelous book come out, make sure you reach out to both sides of the conversation. Come on, let me know so we can help support and pick up your book and continue to keep you ascending, as Tony would say.
Definitely. Thank y'all so much.
All right. Thank you, Queen. Have a good evening. God bless you. And may God continue to bless your sales and all the amazing things that you do in the impact community. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, Tony, there you go. You bringing up the phenomenal queens tonight. Great stuff. We got our last Hidden Gem community. I know y'all saying, Bishop, it's getting late. Okay, this phenomenal queen been waiting patiently. But we're going to bring her up here. Find out what she's doing, community. Miss Itanya, welcome to both sides of the conversation, queen. Holla at the
queen. Woo! Itanya in the house. No.
I love the energy. Yes.
My name is Itanya. I am a Bay Area native. I was born in San Francisco, raised in East Oakland, Maxwell Park area. And I started a nonprofit called Our Youth Matter. I'm a graduate of Patton University. I have my Bachelor's of Arts in Youth Ministry, and it was the last year of school, and everyone was deciding what they were going to do. Some was going to get their master's, some was going to work, and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I had a teacher, Brenda Douglas, and she was like, well, have you prayed about it? And I was like, okay, let me do that. And as I began to pray about what I wanted to do, I didn't realize that the Lord already had been birthing my nonprofit, Our Youth Matter. A couple of years before, I had this notebook. I had all these notes and things that I wanted to do. So when it came time to graduate, I believe like a week later, I was meeting with a team of people and was like, I have this nonprofit I want to start. I want to demonstrate love to the youth. I want to give back. I want to impact our community. And it's been going strong since 2008. So we're going on year 15 now with the nonprofit. Other than the nonprofit, in my professional life, I do property management, and I'm also a realtor, so I do real estate. And I'm going to come back to how that's going to tie into what's going on. But from there, we decided to demonstrate love to youth. And the way that we do that is we have different events. So I've been to board meetings and on committees and trying to advocate for our people and for our youth. And I found for me that I could be more impactful by just doing the work. So we was in a community, we started in the church. We did that maybe for a year or two. And then I heard the Lord said, take it to the streets. So from there, we started in a park, and we would invite youth in the community to a park, and we would have school supply giveaways. 1 year we gave out bags of food. We've done vacation Bible school in the park. And when we started, we had maybe 50 people. Then the next year, 75. Then the next year, 100. So now when we give our largest event, which is our school supply giveaway, we have, well, before the pandemic, we would get about 700-800 people coming to that event, and we would give out 500 backpacks. So some of the events that we do, like I said, our largest event is our school supply giveaway. We give out, I've been cool on 500 backpacks. We try to do 600. It just seemed like a lot of backpacks. So we stick to 500. We do a toy giveaway. We adopt families around the holidays. We used to do Thanksgiving in the park, but we stopped doing that when a pandemic happened. Thanksgiving in the park is we would get together, and we would, families would come out, and we would pack goodie bags, warm items, and hygiene items, and pass them out to homeless encampments. But we stopped doing that when the pandemic happened. But we also do an Easter egg hunt. And our events, we try to make them an experience. So you come to our events, you're going to get some free books, you're going to get some food. At our back to school giveaway, it's normally a DJ there. Shout out to my cousin Ray, Big Ray. And we also have crafts, workshops. We do, because I was a realtor, we do workshops on how parents could get home ownership. And we did vision boards 1 year. So we would do a lot at the event. So it was more than just come get this backpack and go home. So we would make it more interactive. In the city of Oakland, May 20th is our Youth Matter Day. So we have our own day in the city of Oakland. And I haven't written books, but I have an ebook. So I have an ebook called Events to Impact the Community, because we did so many events I have an ebook on other people on how they could impact their communities by doing events. And also I share all my resources in there. And then I have Going Back to the Basics, which is really for youth ministry, going back to the basics to reach our youth. And then I call her my spiritual mom, Dr. Beverly West. She actually wrote a curriculum for us. It's a sports curriculum, so you can't really see it. But it's called Building Spirit, Mind, and Body. It's a sports curriculum. It has 13 lessons in there, and that's Christian-based and non-Christian based. And that's really to help. She wrote it for a fundraiser for us. And as far as funds, we get all of our money really from just people just like us, just regular people that just want to give back to the community. I don't get a lot of grants. I mean, I've gotten a couple over the years, but most of the time it's just regular people just giving back. and helping and adopting families. This year we adopted 18 families, which is down from previous years, but we was able to help 18 families, which comes out equivalent to about 100 people for the holidays.
Wow, phenomenal stuff. See, they say the best is always for last. The bishop always believes in that, okay? And I'm going to be excited because you're here. And that means I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because anytime somebody impactful as you come on my platform, I'm always excited. Shout out to my guy, Maurice Rivers, in the chat. All right, this brother is another impactful brother in the community. And I love people who impact. And I see through your bio, about 10,000 young people served over 8 years. That is great. And, just want to highlight that work. And I'm excited because I got a lot of questions, but I know Tony got some. But I want to say this. How does it feel, Queen, when you get the favor of the Lord to bless the people, the young people, connect with you? How does it feel? Because a lot of people don't understand the power in the work, impacting our youth, uplifting them, being able to connect with them. And when they come to you, with all of that, and you able to walk them through it and bless them, how does it make you feel?
Yeah, it feels great. Putting on events for the community and dealing with people is always difficult. So I remember I used to quit a lot. And then one year the Lord said, "You're not doing this for you, you're doing this for me." So after that, I stopped quitting. And every time you come to our events, people, they always get more than what they probably was expecting. And I like to do it that way because I feel like that's the way that our Lord and Savior does us. We be expecting one thing and he does a whole nother thing. So I like to give people that element of surprise.
I love it. I'm glad you're here because that's what we do here at both sides of the conversation. Whatever we do it big. We bless the people everywhere we go. The experience. And that's what I always tell people. Your success is based off the experience that people feel when they walk away. That's what it's all about. When they walk away and say, oh, these youth, this is amazing. Our youth this program is phenomenal. And that's what it's all about. That's what this work is all about. And we are excited to just have you here and all the community organizations that go above and beyond to make sure that our people get the resources, the information, make sure that you impact your community. I love it. It just makes me feel good. Tony, jump in there, Tony, because I know you got some great stuff to say. Thank you for doing the work. That's all I can say. Thank you.
I just want to first say you got a lot of love in the chat. It sounds like you're an amazing person, and I can feel the spirit. You came on just ready. I love that. It's 9:00 at night, and your spirit is still at a 10. So I love that. Thank you for what you're doing for the community. But how did this start? How did you make this happen? What was the background around this organization?
So it kind of started when I have a son. He's an adult now. He's 26. But when I had a son, I never qualified for assistance. So they said I made too much money, even though I didn't feel like I was making too much money. So, but I never qualified for assistance. But it seemed like the help that was out there, I made too much money for it, or there just wasn't anything for me and what I was going through. And I was so fortunate because I call it the village. I had a village raising my son. When, school trip came up, it was like, okay, the village, okay. My sister, my mom, my stepdad, his dad, I always call myself, I wasn't a single mother, but I was I wasn't a single mother, but I was a single woman. And, but we had the village. Okay, picture day, how much you got? I got 10, you, how much, so we raised that, and it was a village. So when I started my nonprofit, I didn't want to put it on, come with the birth certificate, so you got to make this much money, you got to do this. If you in need, come and get. And that's just how we did it. And we've been so fortunate when we have had our events that we've had more than enough supplies to fill the people who did come out.
I love that because I'm a parent, and I like how you said that, not a single mom, but a single woman. I'm still that, so thank you. Mm-hmm. But I know how that is trying to get. It's so hard right now getting after school programs, and now they cost. And even if they do have after school programs, they don't last as long as they used to when I was in school. It's just a lot. It's just a different type of world nowadays. Yeah. But your program, do you guys do like workshops for the children and as well as for parents too? And what are some other things that you guys do that in your program?
So over the years, it's kind of changed. So we did do workshops. We would go to the library. We would go to different churches. We would go wherever the youth was and hold different workshops. And but what we did is like our back to school supply giveaway. Before the pandemic, this was prior to that, we would have the workshops there. So we would have leveling up, going back to school workshop. We would have workshops for the parents on finances and purchasing a home. We would have different vendors there. And what I like about that too is we would have youth vendors there too. So we had a 9-year-old girl who made jewelry and she was a vendor there. We had a 14-year-old who baked. So we would have vendors there and we would pay them to be there to give their stuff out for free so people could have it. So it's just a way for them to also be out in the community. So I definitely want to do more of that, having vendor fairs for the children, because our kids, they dope, they talented.
They really are. Now, I know I heard you say that you have a day in Oakland, but is your organization located in Oakland?
Yes, it's located in Oakland.
Okay. What part of Oakland is it at? Is that East Oakland?
So it's Oakland? So I was raised in East Oakland. So it's in East Oakland. I love that part. I love East Oakland.
I thought they call it deep East Oakland. I thought it's deep East Oakland.
It's East Oakland and then it's deep East Oakland.
Yeah.
He's from the city. He don't know nothing about that.
I'm from East Oakland, not deep East Oakland. I'm East Oakland. I was in Maxwell Park, but right now we do a lot of our events at Rainbow Recreation Center. They're off of Seminary in Oakland. And what I love working at Rainbow is it's close to a lot of our people. It's close to housing. Is the kids that go to the school, that they're more likely to get assistance for lunch and all that. So I just like being like right there in the middle. And usually every 4 years we outgrow a facility, but Rainbow.
Praise God, that's a blessing.
Yeah. Rainbow has been our home for a while. I really appreciate Tim and Horace when he was there, because they really were accommodating to us.
So is this also kind of like YMCA or Boys and Girls Club? Is this a similar version of that?
Not really, only because I don't have all the programs. We just do a couple of events. We wanted to help parents financially that may be struggling, because that's the way I was. It was like, okay, I didn't have it. So I just wanted to be able to give back to the parents. We're looking to do more things. One thing that I really want to do, and this is where I wanted to wrap around about how I am a realtor and do property management, because one of our biggest needs among our group of families is housing and food. And I really want to be able, I know there's like Eden housing, that's like affordable housing, and there's Section 8 and that sort of stuff. But I wanted there to be a place for parents that was like me, that don't necessarily qualify for those programs, but was still in need, and be able to provide some housing for them in the near future.
Now, do you only help out Oakland residents, or is this for any community, any residents?
So when we have our events, we don't put stipulations on that. So we get people from Richmond, from Sacramento. Sacramento is probably the furthest, from Hayward, that comes to our event. Now, when we did Thanksgiving in the park, we would just advertise that, and we would get people all over San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, because people just wanted, and we would do it on Thanksgiving. So people just kind of wanted to give back that day. So we would have like 100 volunteers out there and just finding stuff for them to do.
Well, that is very beautiful that you cater into the Bay Area. I love this platform. Thank you for coming on and sharing all of this gems. And I haven't never heard of this organization, so I'm definitely going to follow you on Instagram and Facebook and be all up in your business.
And, I just want to thank you and Angelique for bringing me on, because to be honest, this is probably the first thing I've ever done. I've never been in the paper. I never, been on media, nothing. But it's been okay because God's been providing, and we've been having the resources to do what we do. And part of me been a little bit nervous about people doing articles or the news coming out or whatever to the events. I said, because we might get too many people and I can't help everyone. But this is great to be acknowledged. And I am a hidden gem.
Yes, you are.
After tonight, you are not hidden anymore. That's why we brought you here. We want to make sure the community know, and that's a good problem to have. Too many volunteers. I can't get no support over here. So be thankful. Okay, that's a good problem to have. But real quick before we let you go, because I know it's getting late, I wanted to just ask you, with the gentrification going on, with the new mayor stepping in Oakland, the increase in violence and things that's going on. We know there's been a problem here in the Bay Area, Oakland, San Francisco. We talk about our young people and violence and some of the things that's taking place. Just from your perspective, I just want to ask how do we curb this? How your program is helping keep those young people engaged? Because we need services, for our young people. And I'm just, here to just say I want to commend you because I always say we need programming for our young people. And I love what you said. The most important part that you said was we pay the young people to provide their businesses and services. And I keep telling these folks that I'm in these meetings, I'm in a number of meetings, and I always say, okay, if we want to get the educational rate up, we are in a time where we got to pay our young people. We got to bring the apprentice model to our community where we pay to learn. We give these folks access to help childcare and things of that nature. If we want to change this, we're going to have to invest in our community, okay? We pay too much money to consultants and people to come in there and tell us how to change our community. We have to change that model and invest into the very people like you that are impacting our youth and give you the resources and the funds that is needed, that you can help change and turn our community and these organizations around. So how do you feel about that? I know there's still time and we got to figure out this new mayor, what's going on in Oakland, but just want to get a little feedback. And shout out to Loren Taylor and the District 6, okay, over there, because I know it's some phenomenal folks, okay? Loren, reach out to me. We got some people from District 6 that's coming on, that's impacting the people. Shout out to my folks over there at DP Oakland.
Yeah. I think, at least for my organization, I wanted the name that says when people said it, that it meant something. Our youth matter. I wanted it to be a reminder that our youth matter. So I think with all the gun violence and everything that's going on with that, at least for us, it's just really educating our children and, letting them know, how to diffuse when they're angry or mad, or, not putting yourself in certain situation that's going to cause some things. And sometimes it can't be avoided because, kids is getting bullied and that sort of stuff. But just educating them and that guns isn't the answer to it. This is gonna sound corny, but I'm more love, less guns. But but I get it, especially with the games and what we're doing. And when we do our toy giveaway, I'm very mindful of age appropriate toys for the kids and that sort of stuff. I don't like the guns. I don't do the violent stuff. That's me. If the parent want to do it for their kids, they can, but we don't. And so just really letting the kids know that they do matter and that they're important and they don't have to do that. And I think through my organization, I'm hoping that, we could solve some of the issues of why they might be getting bullied because they don't have the clothes or the shoes or the supplies or the whatever. So we're just hoping that we could just diffuse some of that by providing those items.
Wow, phenomenal stuff. Well, with that being said, you fired me up. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight because now I'm excited. Our youth matter. We're gonna be looking out. We will come support you and make sure any events you have or anything going on, send us the digital flyer so we can get out to the community, to the people to show up and support your event. And believe me, the Bishop, we will be out there. We'll come support you. We want to do it.
Thank you.
With that being said, before we go, Tony, you got any last questions before she give any shout outs, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up tonight. All right. With that being said, Tanya, please give out some shout out to your staff, to your team.
All right, yes. You know, I got some support. I got some support here. So I want to give a shout out to one of my biggest support, which is my sister, Sister Maya. I mean, she's my road dog. She's the left-hand person, the right-hand person, the runner, the everything person. So a shout out to my sister, my best friend, Tashandra. She's always supporting her and her son. As soon as her son was, yeah, my bestie. As soon as her son was able to, he used to call it putting a sticker on the envelope, but it was the stamp because we was putting him to work. Put that stamp on that envelope. So shout out to Zachariah and Tashandra. Vanessa, who's always there to support and help my registration queen. Cynthia Hill, always supporting and volunteering, and my spiritual mom, I called her Elder Beverly West, just always, she was supporting my nonprofit and giving me donations before anything when from the beginning. So I appreciate her and love her for that, always being a support. And I call her, she's my editor. She's my editor. She's my caption person. She's my, I need a name for this program person. That's who I go to. And then lastly, just all the people who came to volunteer, our sponsors and our donors. Thank you for your support over the years.
Wow, thank you. That's just beautiful. Thank you for all the folks who do support you. That's what it's about. In the Black community in 2023, we are teaching reciprocity. Support the people. All right, Tony. With that being said, Tony, give your party words because I know we're ascending tonight. But Tony, give your party word before I give the benediction to the people.
Hey, community. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the guests that came on tonight. One thing that I took away, a lot of things I took away tonight was I want to go back to what one of our hidden gems said, that it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, a community. We need to get back to those days of the neighbor watching out for our kids, the community watching out for our kids, calling one another to see if we need help or giving each other resources. It doesn't always have to be money, even though we all need the money, but we need to help our youth. We need to be the first teacher to our youth. That's what I heard tonight. And I know as parents, it's hard. It's hard to stay on your kids with that education because as parents, we got to pay the bills. A lot of us are single parents. We're tired. We're exhausted. But we need to make sure that our youth are our future. And the only way that's going to happen is if we all come together collectively as a community and get back to the root. It's time to change the narrative. Like John said, we're tired. We're tired of this. The school systems need to change. The numbers need to change. Our babies need to be on reading level. And we must come together. As you've seen, all these hidden gems up here are doing things in the community to make things better. Come on, y'all. Get involved. Do your part. The littlest thing could be the biggest thing for a person. We need each other. And again, yes, keep ascending, but we got to do it as a community. Thank you, John, for this platform. Thank you, everyone that came on and shared. I look forward to my book. You know what? I got a lot of books I got to read, community. Like, I love that y'all out here writing these books and y'all putting all this knowledge out, but my stack is getting wide and long. So I'm excited about getting knowledgeable and reading all these books. Community, get involved. And again, if y'all know anybody else is out here in the community doing big things and we haven't heard of them, they need to be right here on this platform. Tell them to come and kick it with Pretty Tony and John and both sides of the conversation. Peace, love, and keep ascending, community.
Man, thank you very much, Tony. We appreciate you. We're glad you're back hosting with us. You know, it's always a great time with Pretty Tony here. We have fun and we get to highlight and bless our community. With that being said, I got to give a shout out to my both sides of the conversation team. Since everybody shout out their team, I got to shout out my team. We got some amazing folks behind the scenes that is pushing this organization forward. Community, you're going to see a number of changes and things happening as we continue to impact the community. So just want to give a huge shout out to our entire both sides of the conversation team. There are some phenomenal folks who care about you, community, and you'll see some of that work as we get to our bowling event. There's a lot of changes happening. And we're going to be bringing some new programming and things to the community. So we are excited about that. So shout out to all of y'all. Celebrate yourself. Uplift yourself. Y'all doing some amazing work for the community. And we are proud of you all. With that being said, community, It is time for the bishop. For y'all that's new, just watching it. No, I'm not an ordained pastor, but the community, our team have gave me the name of the bishop because they say, John, all you do is preach. You always giving information. You sound like a preacher. So they gave me the nickname the bishop. And y'all know every bishop, every church bishop has to have a benediction before the end of anything. They have to give a recap of what's going on to make sure you didn't sleep through it all. The bishop will give the benediction. So with that being said, I will give the benediction to the people. And with that being said, community, y'all showed up tonight. You see the phenomenal queens that came on tonight, uplifting the youth, the community, bringing some real information. We talked about education. That is the forefront of our community. We have to make sure that our young people are protected. They are invested in. They are loved. We have to give them the consistency that they need to succeed. You heard all of the things, the shortcomings, the shortfall that is needed. It takes us all. Y'all heard Tony. It takes us all. The village. Who is the village? Where are you at, village? Let's show up. Let's put the unity back in the community. We have to do this now. Our babies need us now. Leaders, fathers, mothers, grandparents, step up. Be involved. Get involved with the young people. Get involved with the civil process. Our school boards, our teachers, show up so that they know somebody cares about the young, loving individuals that we all say we love so much. It takes so much work to move things and change in our community. When we talk about changing the narrative, this is what it's about. Hear from amazing folks in the community. These hidden gems are not hidden anymore. Community, make sure you tap in. Make sure you do your part and support the authors, support the educators, support the community leaders. Make sure you get involved so that we can push equity forward. It takes all of us. You heard from the last queen. Our youth do matter. That is a powerful statement. Our youth do matter. We have to invest. We have to be the ones to make sure everything that we're thinking, everything that we're teaching intentionally, we make sure that our youth matter first. We cannot move ahead as a culture, as a people, if we don't involve the youth, elders in the community. Bridge the gap, pass the torch to our young people. We have to get them involved earlier so that they can go ahead and take the torch and pass the baton and move our communities forward. It is a lot of work. There's a lot of disparity. There's a lot of issues. We can no longer sit here and complain about what's not happening. Tonight, take action, get involved, find out how you can connect so you can correct the problem. It takes us all. It's a lot of work. The bishop is here. I will do my part. Here at both sides of the conversation, we will continue to have those difficult conversations, those taboo conversations, those stigma conversations that the people don't want to talk about, the things they're trying to hide from you. We will shine the light on it. We will uplift those voices. I'm telling you, we will do that. We will stand here together in solidarity and make sure that our community moves forward. So with that being said, that is the benediction night. Thank you all for tuning in. Our next live show is this Thursday. We will have an educational presentation on financial literacy. Please tune in, community. We don't want you to have no excuses. Get your emergency funds ready. Make sure your retirement is right. Make sure you got life insurance. Make sure you have earthquake insurance. Make sure you have the things you need to protect your assets. As things are getting tighter, jobs are being lost, things are happening rapidly in our community. Let's be preventive. Let's be ready. Let's not just react. Let's be preventive so that we can make sure our actions and our intentionality moves our community forward. And financial literacy is a big part of it. So again, let's do our part. Tune in this Thursday. We're going to have some great guests to come educate our community. And then this Sunday at 4 o'clock, you'll see Pretty Tony. You'll see some of our other folks from our team as we talk about generational curses. Let's talk about the trauma. Let's talk about the pain. Let's talk about some of the things that you was taught in your family that maybe not wasn't right, that you're passing on to the next generation. But after this Sunday, we're going to stop it in our community because we're going to highlight, uplift, and make sure that those boundaries are not crossed. We're not going to pass on the negative generational curses. We're going to change the narrative and pass on the positive generational curses. We're going to talk about how do we build generational wealth? How do we build an educational legacy? How do we change what's been going on into something new for 2023. I can see a bright future, Pretty Tony. It's coming our way. Things are changing. The movement is happening. Hey, community, a lot of things going on. Check us out. Make sure you tune in. Follow us on all of our social media handles and get ready to see the work that's going on. And y'all will see Pretty Tony in the community. Come holler at her. Say what's up. We'll be out there on both sides of the conversation team. Again, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you this Thursday. The bishop will see you all in the community because y'all know wherever the people are, I'll be there. All right. So with that being said, love you, community. Have a great evening. I know it's late, and be safe out there. Make sure you're ready. Get prepared so we can do our work. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you. Good night now.